Welcome back to New Day Cleveland. You know, there are hidden and sometimes really bad ingredients in some of the most popular foods that we are consuming. So here to show us what to look for is Allison Goodwin from Lifetime Fitness. Good to have you back.
Thank you for having me.
So I learned a lot the last time you were here, and I know we're talking specifically about food labels. I have even just this Apple Jacks box here. What is the biggest mistake when people start looking at their ingredients that they make?
Right. So when people are reading food labels, a lot of them are looking at calories because it's 2016 in America, and we always think, oh my gosh, lowest amount of calories is what's going to get me to lose weight. That's totally wrong. So what we want people to look at on a food label is the ingredient list specifically. So what ingredients do we recognize? Which ones do we know we should stay away from? And how many ingredients are there in that box?
So what should we be looking for as good things?
As good things are things that we can recognize and pronounce. So think about whole foods. So sometimes almonds are ground into things, for example. That's something that we would be okay with on an ingredient label. Then on the opposite side, we would not want to have high fructose corn syrup, all those kinds of extra sugars and bleached flour, and that is all the bad things that we're looking for in those labels that we definitely want to stay away from. That just means that there's extra chemicals in there, which we don't want to have in our bodies.
So it is important to stick with names that we can pronounce. Is it for that reason, because we know what it is?
Correct, yes. So all those things that may be hard, you know, you'll see dicarbon monoxide, those kinds of things. That's what we don't want because it's harder for us to pronounce, and that's how we know it's a chemical specifically.
Now, what about length of ingredients? I know once you start seeing a lengthy list, it probably starts meaning there's a lot of things in there that maybe we shouldn't have. The smaller the list, the better?
Yes, so we're looking at about 5 ingredients or less would be a really good key when you're looking at that label specifically. So actually, if you were to look at this plain yogurt compared to something that would be the 100 calorie or the total zero, if you look at the labels on there, this will have 1 ingredient, and these you can read that endless list on there of about at least 20 things, I would say, looking at it.
Wow, so even, I mean, everyone thinks, okay, I'm eating yogurt, so yogurt's healthy for me, it's good for me, but you're really, I mean, you're putting that to rest there too, because saying that not all yogurt is good for you as well.
Absolutely.
Are there certain foods that we should really consider just looking at and making sure we buy because we know we're safer that way?
When you go grocery shopping, think of shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. So if you think about the perimeter, you're going to start off with your fruits and vegetables, you're going to go into your protein foods, then you'll have dairy foods at the end, which some of those will have labels, but now that we know how to read labels, we'll be able to make a better educated decision.
That's a good idea, and that makes perfect sense. And think of it that way, go around the perimeter.
Right, and then in the middle is where you'll find all these kinds of things.
So is it okay though every once in a while maybe to splurge? I mean, I feel like I couldn't live without my Fruity Pebbles every once in a while.
Sometimes you just have to have those things, but that's where, you know, as someone, you know, like I said, in today's world, we know that these things are around us all the time. So choosing when to be tempted by those foods and when it's appropriate for us to have them and when to not.
And I'm sure too, when you're starting to pay attention more to the ingredient list, you'll probably notice a change in just your digestive system and how things work and how you feel.
Absolutely. So last time we were talking about detox on this show and where we were focusing on eating all whole foods and things that don't have those common food allergens in them, which obviously are not the things on this table right here. So going back to that whole foods approach, think about if we all still lived on farms like back in the day where we grew our own food, we knew what was in it, and we knew that there were no chemicals being put on our food. That's what's going to help us to feel the best that we can. And if weight loss is your goal, then help you to achieve that goal too.
I like it. Feeling healthier already. Now I just have to go to the grocery store and start paying more attention. Forget about the calories, and I mean, you can pay attention to them.
Pay attention, but don't focus that on as your decision of what to buy specifically, as this would have more than that, but this would be the better decision.
I like the sound of this. All right, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Really appreciate